So, Hidizs actually reached out to me and sent me not one, not two, but three different things to play with. Two IEMs and a little DAC. Both IEMs I tested on this little DAC, by the way. It's the DH80S. And one of the IEMs I won't be talking about today because that is as yet unreleased. You might want to wait for maybe next week's video. Yeah, that'll be the one. But this is an interesting little DAC under $100, balanced and unbalanced out, and gets pretty loud and reasonably clean sounding. Also, it supports MQA, which is not going to be a thing anymore very soon. But I'm not here to talk about this. I'm here to talk about the MS-1 Galaxy, which is Hidizs' hat in the ring for the $20 price point, which in my opinion is a very competitive price point these days. You've got, let's see, the Salnote Zero, which is actually the stark contrast to the MS-1 Galaxy. I'll explain in just a bit. Then you've got the Truthia Hola, which is a nice flavored but very clean presentation. Very nice. And then my favorite is the Tangzu 1R, which is my go-to recommendation for everyone at that price point. So what does the MS-1 Galaxy do? Well, it brings in the cheap and the cheerful. In the box, you get some very bright IEMs, and that brightness shines through the rest of this review as well. You'll see in a second. 2-pin connector for a cable that comes with or without a microphone, and a little anime girl, because that apparently is still a thing, or so Hidizs thinks. Her name is Lynn, and there are details here that I'm simply not going to go into. You absolute degenerates. And this is what it sounds like, the microphone of the MS-1 Galaxy. Now, okay, I just realized there's some noise there, there's traffic, you should get some idea, but I am talking in my YouTuber voice. So let me go back to like a normal phone call, a normal conversation. Let me just get into the zone. I'm getting a call. Oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I had a great time yesterday. Did you have fun? No? Okay. Yeah, well, what are you doing this weekend? What's that? You never want to hear back from me again. Gotcha. Nah, always with the jokes. Always with the jokes. Okay, I'll talk to you later. No, I won't. There you go. Just a normal conversation. Okay. How does the MS-1 Galaxy sound? That's what's important. Well, here's the frequency response to get you started. Now you'll see a couple of things. One is there is a little bit more emphasis in the treble than I'm used to. So this is definitely a bright IEM, very cheerful. But there's also a very ambitious bass boost which bleeds right into the mid. So this is a flavored experience, except that flavor either doesn't come through, or when it does come through, it doesn't handle it properly. Okay, first of all, the silicone tips that go on the nozzle, they're made from this really thin silicone, and that's nice, it's comfortable. But when I try and get a good fit, it folds in on itself, and that means it actually loses seal, which means it loses bass. And quite often when I put this thing in my ear without thinking and just go about my day, it's a bright sound because the bass isn't coming through. There's barely any mid bass, let alone any sub bass, and that is a problem. Now, if I adjust it to get the right seal, then things start coming through well. And when that does, I realize that it's definitely a flavored IEM. You get a fair bit of bass and you get a fair bit of treble to balance that out. So this is a bright, fun, punchy sound. The problem is it only stays that way if you get the right seal and if you listen to the right kind of music. So as long as you're listening to some basic hip-hop EDM tracks, it's going to be fun and it's going to be a bright sound for people who like that brightness in the treble. Not my thing, I think it's a bit much, but it might work for some of you. Now here's the problem. This is a $20 IEM, which means the driver inside it is probably dirt cheap. I mean, they gotta make money somehow, right? Now, you know how people say, oh, it's a $700 IEM, it better be tuned really well? Here's a counter argument. I think a good tuning is far more important in the $20 price category. Because if you've got a driver in here that cannot be pushed too far, you shouldn't do it. Because if you start listening to rock, heavy metal, that sort of thing, anything a little heavier, anything a little more complex, then the driver really breaks down, because not only is it trying to push the bass up a lot, it's also trying to push the lower mids up. So you get that warm, muddy sound. Maybe that's your thing, that's fine if you like it, but it's not the cleanest sounding by virtue of its tuning. But it's also not the cleanest sounding because the driver simply cannot handle it. Forget layering and imaging, forget all of that. it can't even hold its own with heavy tracks. So it really depends on what kind of genres you like. And this is why I say the Stalnote Zero is in stark contrast, because Clinical and 7Hz worked on that together and they knew they couldn't get much more out of the driver, so they didn't try. And then if there's not that much bass, they balanced it out by reducing the treble as well. It's very smart tuning on their part, honestly. This, in my opinion, is a very ambitious tuning for a driver like this, and that is its downfall. So that's the MS-1 Galaxy. It's very shiny inside and outside, and even if you do tip roll them, if you try different silicone tips, get a better seal, get that bass going, you are limited to certain genres of music. And even in those tracks, if there's a harder part, it's going to get a little bit fatiguing for longer term listening if you lose some of that bass fidelity and there's a lot of treble. When it's running well, I will give it credit, it's a very clean sounding IEM when you're not pushing it too hard. The moment you push it too hard, unfortunately it falls apart. This is not the case for the next IEM I'll be reviewing from them, so you want to hit that subscribe button and you want to join me for that video. Till then, stay happy, stay peaceful, stay colorful. Namaste.